Good Sunday morning, Northeast Ohio. Well, the 2019 election, it is in the books, which means 2020, you are now on the clock. And in the tea leaves of Tuesday, both parties are trying to figure out how the political winds are blowing, not only across the country, but here in Ohio. Democrats are taking a victory lap after this week's wins in the Commonwealths of Virginia and Kentucky, taking the legislature in Virginia for the first time in over 20 years and turning the bluegrass state, well, blue, with an apparent razor-thin Democratic win for governor.
I wouldn't necessarily say this is a national trend, but it's certainly warning signs for Republicans.
Especially when it comes to where the Democrats did well, formerly Republican suburbs. Check out Kentucky, a state President Trump won by 30 points. Attention is focused on these two counties that the president won by 25 points, yet the Democrat carried Tuesday. And although they are in Kentucky, they are essentially Cincinnati suburbs. So will that change the way people look at Ohio?
Absolutely, yeah, because again, I think those suburban areas around Columbus, Toledo, and Cincinnati, where they've either been swing or they've been more reliably Republican, like Delaware County had been for a long time with Columbus, that this may be a sign that those counties are going to trend more in the direction of a Democrat.
But Sutton is quick to point out it all depends on who that eventual Democrat is.
Because these are not necessarily areas that are going to go strong, liberal, progressive kinds of candidates like a Bernie Sanders or an Elizabeth Warren. You need a more moderate candidate on the Democratic side to attract those kinds of votes.
Well, I wasn't aware that former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg was a loyal viewer, but as if right on cue, picking up on Dr. Tom Sutton's comments, his name surfaced towards the end of the week as a moderate Democratic alternative. Ironically, both Bloomberg and Ohio Governor John Kasich have used the same analogy with regards to the race. They wouldn't get in unless they saw a path. Where Bloomberg sees one apparently as a Democrat, Kasich does not as a Republican. He was up in New Hampshire this week promoting his new book, but also to tell his supporters there exactly that.
I came to New Hampshire because I felt I owed it to the people to let them know that at this point in time, I just don't see a path to climb to the higher place, a run for the presidency at this point in time. But I made it clear to them that when you go hiking, a lot of times you don't see the path and you just keep hiking, and sometimes you see it down the road. I'm going to keep my voice out there. I'm going to stay involved. I'm going to do everything I possibly can do to make sure we have more unity, that we can have more hope, that we can move forward as a nation. Not a nation of red or a nation of blue, but a nation of red, white, and blue.
The 67-year-old Kasich also taking time to add this.
But just remember this, though. When it comes time for maybe not this election, but the next election, I will still be younger than all three of the leading candidates today. I'm not sure what that means, but I still got it.
Closing no doors for sure. Well, that was also the attitude of the state when it came to finding a buyer for GM's Lordstown assembly plant. It was almost a year ago that the automaker announced that they were idling the plant with no plans to put another line in. Then in May of this year, a surprise tweet from President Trump announcing that the automaker will be selling the plant to Workhorse, an Ohio-based designer and producer of electric delivery vehicles. This week, the deal with the renamed Lordstown Motors Corporation became official. Workhorse is a small company of around 100 workers that won a contract last year with UPS and is a finalist for a $6.3 billion contract with the United States Postal Service, but no final decision on that will come until next year. Now, back in May, Governor Mike DeWine said any sale would likely be contingent on them landing that contract. The UAW had held out hope through the recent strike that GM would assign a new line to the plant, but conceded that point in the final settlement. Industry experts warned in the spring Workhorse will be no GM.
It's better than a poke in the eye, but don't think for a second that all of a sudden it's going to be full employment and you're going to see all kinds of trucks coming out of this plant.
Well, GM, for its part, saying they believe the new company has the potential to create a significant number of jobs in the production of electric pickups. A significant number of jobs also on the line with Sherwin-Williams' eventual decision on where to place their new world headquarters. There's been a lot of growing speculation that the Fortune 200 company will indeed stay in Cleveland, and if they do, the site they might be looking at is one that's been ready for decades. In the smile of downtown Cleveland, the parking lots off of Public Square have been the missing tooth. Terry Schwartz is director of Kent State's Cleveland Urban Design Collaborative.
To have this prime piece of real estate that has a parking lot on it, 2 parking lots on it, for 30 plus years is pretty unusual.
That's not to say there haven't been ideas floated over the years, most recently when the city pitched Amazon on the potential of the plots in its bid to be their second world headquarters. And just 4 years ago this month, the current owners of the lots off of West 6 were pitching their plans for 1,200 new apartments, along with retail, restaurants, and more.
There'll be dog parks, and there'll be outdoor kitchens, and there'll be rooftop gardens, and there'll be all the most modern amenities available.
Those plans never made it past the artist rendering stage, nor did the other grand ones pitched by the Jacobs Group for their public square space. Schwartz says the potential that Sherwin-Williams could bring, if they were to choose the site, would be transformative, spark further growth.
I think a signature investment, kind of by a legacy company on public square would mean a lot, and also it would create the kind of high value office uses that a lot of times firms are looking for,
while addressing the issue of that smile as well.
Our public square was designed as sort of the living room of the city, and one wall's been blown out for decades, right?
Well, no official word from Sherwin-Williams when an eventual decision will come. With Democracy 2019, I'm John Kasich. Enjoy your Sunday.